Now hear me out. If I told you that one of my favorite keyboards isn't mechanical, would I be a heathen? Well, howdy hey. Certified heathen Hipyo Tech here, coming at you with a very interesting video today. I'm going to be taking a look at the Niz Duo 82, which is a prototype electrocapacitive board. That's pretty cool, right? It's not mechanical. Wow. If you don't know what that is, don't worry, you're in a good place. I've been using the Niz Plum 87 as one of my daily drivers for months now. But will the Niz Duo stand up, or is it gonna fall to some of its squishy little issues? Stick around, and you'll find out. Hipyo from the Yellow Void here. I'm stuck here, and the only way to get me out is by hitting subscribe, so do that please. There's a little bit of a story behind this video. I saw that this board was announced on Keycaps, and I really wanted to try it out, so I reached out to Niz, and they sent me out a prototype for review. Now, this board is definitely a prototype, and has quite a few issues that I'll be sure to be pointing out. Don't worry about that. This also means that I'm not entirely sure what all will actually come with the board, and that type of stuff. So this is more of a first impressions rather than a full review. The board was shipped in a pretty hefty box, and came in this carrying case, with just some foam protecting the board. I reckon it might have been jostled pretty hard in shipping, as some of the domes were actuating improperly, and I had to run some stuff to fix it. Anyways, this carrying case is pretty nice, and if it does come with the board, that's a good perk. I haven't seen any word on accessories like cables or anything, so can assume that they might not come with it. Anyways, let's move on to the actual board, eh? Yeah. This here's a 75% keyboard, which, best layout by the way, fight me, I dare you. Fight me in the comments section, not in real life, thank you. The price will be somewhere around $300 to $350 for the aluminum versions, but as you can see here, I have the polycarbonate version. I gotta say, I'm honestly not very stoked to get the polycarbonate version, and I was hoping for the aluminum white version, because I think that looks way cooler. I have a love-hate relationship with polycarbonate. I think it makes things sound thockier, but I don't like the look of it. The board will probably be coming in 5 different colors, and possibly 2 different versions. I have the updated prototype here, which features an aluminum weight, but I think there's also a brass version as well. This weight is painted yellow, and I don't like yellow very much. There's a ton of different color options for the weight though, so that won't be too big of an issue. The final version will also have Bluetooth support, but I get a little button that doesn't work yet. So I can't really provide any ideas on whether or not the Bluetooth is good, or how that performs battery life-wise. If you want to see all the customization options, I recommend checking out their Keycaps post, as they've got it all listed there. The back of this board is pretty striking, but I gotta say it kinda gets lost in the polycarbonate. It's got chonky bezels, which I do like, and it also has rubber feet, which are dummy thick and absorb quite a lot of shock. As far as the actual design of the board goes, I think it's pretty nice, and apparently it's based on some game system or something. I also really like this addition of what I call a handle, but it's really just a nice cutout that lets you move it around on your desk easily. This is a top-mounted board with an FR4 plate. The flexibility is best described as someone that's been doing yoga for a couple months. Like, it's there, but, you know. Oh, we're going back to the knock test? They make pretty good use of space, so no hollowness here. Oh, Mr. Coffee Scale. Everybody say hello. So many returning characters in this episode. We got the knocks and the coffee scale. So I got a lot of requests to check out the stabilizers, and this board does come with either cherry plate mounts or co-star stabs. These stabilizers were shockingly good, so much so that I'm not sure if they lubed them specifically for me. So take this with a grain of salt. As far as housing rattle, there was virtually none, so no Band-Aid mod needed here, which is pretty good. And I'll do a full stabilizer sound test in a little bit, so wait for that. Overall, very little rattle. So this here is the secret of the board, and it's an electrocapacitive switch. To simplify it, there's a rubber dome under the slider, and when you press down, it makes a little electric contact or something. It's pretty cool. This means, yes, the board is not mechanical. This was not clickbait. So this board comes with 35-gram rubber domes, and a lot of people might think, wow, those are really light. And yeah, I agree, they're really light. I get sore fingers from rock climbing, so typing on a board this light feels really good to me. That's why I kinda swapped over and started using it more. The best way to describe these domes are lightly tactile, but kinda punchy. It's really something you gotta try, and it definitely grows on you, but I've started to really like rubber domes on keyboards. Some of you might have heard of Topra or Real Force boards, and this is Niz's take on that. One of the really cool features is that it supports any MX stem style keycap, meaning you could use your favorite GMK set, SA set, whatever. Speaking of keycaps though, let's talk about these keycaps. So, unlike some of Niz's other boards, these are die-sub PBT keycaps, and I'm hoping that these are prototypes because the keycap quality themselves are pretty bad. The legends are quite fuzzy, and the keycaps had a lot of defects. On the right, you can see the Niz Plum 87, which had double shot PBT keycaps that I thought were fantastic. Personally, I'd like to see Niz go back to the double shot PBT keycaps, but these are good in that they have front-facing legends for any of the macro keys that are in the layers. Kinda like stop signs, I think these are a bit of an eyesore, but maybe someone will find them useful. Anyways, let me just use my WoW stick, WoW, link in the description, to disassemble this board. I was gonna go to town on this board and mod her up and use it as my daily driver, but I found some issues, which we'll talk about in just a second. Next, I removed the ribbon cables and set the top to the side, which revealed the USB-C daughter board. Pretty nice. Now I'm assuming this PCB isn't final, as it's supposed to have Bluetooth connections on it and a battery somewhere in this case. If you've never seen an electrocapacitive keyboard before, the PCB is pretty interesting, and I'll definitely be taking one apart to mod pretty soon in the future. Now a major issue I had with this prototype is that I couldn't get the PCB fully out because the screws on the back were stripped. I could probably get those screws out, but I didn't want to break it before I finished my review, so I'll worry about that later. Now, if you're one of the big rubber dome gang people, I've been informed that Niz has not changed how they do their rubber domes, so they still put them in one big sheet. So swapping out individual domes will be very difficult as they don't have guides or anything for them. If you want to see a live stream or something of me taking this board apart and really going for it, then make sure you get subscribed. I might do that later. But right now I'd say the modability is, meh? At least for this board. I hope they don't have stripped screws on the final versions. Speaking of customizability, let's talk about the software. On the 87, I had some issues getting the software working properly, but they already had firmware available for the 82, and it worked perfectly. You can customize whatever keys, and it's a similar experience to VIA, albeit quite a bit clunkier. If you do a lot of productivity stuff and you want to reprogram keys and all of that, then it's very helpful. There's also macros, but I'm not quite sure how to get those set up, so you might have to look into that a little bit. And next, let me give you a sound test of those stabilizers. So yeah, the stabilizers are cherry plate mount, and they are impressively good. I'd say they're really well tuned, and the only issue I had is with the left side of the spacebar, which could be fixed pretty easy with a syringe and some Permatex. So, final thoughts on the board. First, let's start with sound. I think overall the sound is pretty good, and I think it sounds decently more resonant and thockier than the other Niz board that I've had. Based on my experience with sound profiles, I imagine the aluminum version would sound just a little bit sharper. Overall though, it's like tickling a marshmallow. Kinda nice. The build quality is overall fine, but it's definitely a prototype, and I'd like to see some things improved, like this gap between the polycarbonate layers. Going back to the keycaps, if those are included with the final version, I'd like to see some improvement on those as well. Now, in the market of electrocapacitive keyboards, $300 is actually relatively cheap, which is kinda sad. This board definitely brings some creative design to the space, and you can definitely correct me in the comments, but I think this is one of two 75% that you can get with electrocapacitive switches. So for that reason, if you're looking for a 75% that's electrocapacitive, this might be your best bet, even with some of the shortcomings that I mentioned before. Now you're probably wondering, will you be daily driving this Hipyo? And potentially, actually. Now, despite thinking that the board is a little bit tacky because of the polycarbonate case, the switches are still really solid, and the stabilizers are good too. And honestly, for switches this light, the typing experience is really hard to beat. So for that reason, it might secure a spot at least in my daily rotation. Maybe knocking out the other Niz board that I had in there, I guess. But I will say not having the features like Bluetooth and stuff definitely sucks for the prototype. Anyways, I'll be leaving y'all with the sound test of the board. Please watch the whole thing to support my YouTube algorithm overlords. Also, if you like this video, remember to give it a like and please hit subscribe. Thank you Josh, Curbboard, Platyplat, Cody J, and Aquarius. You want a special thank you like those guys? Make sure you hit that join button down below. And watch this ad real fast, I guess.
You see this guy right here? This is Zach. Zach has a lot of keyboards, but not a lot of friends. And then, Zach discovered something pretty crazy. He discovered that there's a join button down below. And for only $4.99 a month, he gets to join the Watering Hole Gang, where he gets exclusive perks, like playing Minecraft with Hipyo Tech. Look at us, we're best friends. It's Zach and Hipyo. Hey, he's playing Minecraft with Hipyo. Wow. That's pretty awesome, right? And now look at him. He's got so many friends. Wow, so many friends. Consider clicking that join button down below. $4.99 a month. That's it. Wow. Disclaimer. Zach actually does have friends. I swear, he definitely didn't pay me to say this. He has so many friends.